Good day, students. So for today, I'm going to make some clarifications on how are you going to compute law of period or harmonies, or what we call the third law of Kepler's planetary motion. So let us first define law of period or harmonies. So it means that the square of the period of any planet is directly proportional to the cube of the average distance of the planet from the sun, or its semi-major axis of its orbit. So this Kepler's law, or third law of Kepler's planetary motion. So this law arises from the law of gravitation proposed by Newton. So itong dalawa is kumbaga may connection. Okay? So Kepler's third law of planetary motion is expressed in this formula. So we have here the square of the orbital period, or T, okay, equals 4 pi squared over gm. So the g here is the universal gravitational constant with a value of 6.67 times 10 raised to negative 11 Newton m squared, or meter squared, per kilogram squared, multiplied by the mass of other object. And we have here a cube. So a stands for the semi-major axis of the planet's orbit. So it is simply expressed as t squared equals a cube. So this law of period or harmony suggested that the ratio of the period of orbit squared, or t squared, to the mean radius of orbit cubed, or a cube, is the same value, or yung tinatawag nating constant, for all the planets that orbit the sun. So k is the constant, or it has a value of 2.97 times 10 raised to negative 19, just to clarify. Okay? Second squared over m, or meter cube. So it is equal to t squared over a cube. So in here, we have applied the Newton's laws of motion, or the Newton's law of gravity, that we find that Kepler's third law of planetary motion into its general form. So it is just like this one, but kumbaga ipinakita lang dito, or as you can observe dyan sa pamphlet ninyo, ipinakita lamang po diyan na pinag-add natin if there are two masses given in a word problem, then you are going to get its sum. Alright? So that's why m sub 1 and m sub 2 ang nakalagay dito, because it indicates the masses of two orbiting objects in solar masses. And as what I have said earlier, the g stands for the universal gravitational constant with a value of 6.67 times 10 raised to negative 11 Newton m squared over kilogram squared. So we have here the derived formulas depending on the missing values. So as you can see on the right side, okay, so we have the formula if the satellite orbit period, or t, is missing. So equal to the square root of 4 pi squared a cube over gm. And for the satellite mean orbital radius, or what we called a, or what we can indicate as a, so we have here the cube root of t squared times g times m over 4 pi squared. And if the planet's mass is missing, so the derived formula, which is m is equal to 4 pi squared a cube over gt squared. Okay? So we have here an example. So yung ibibigay ko sa inyong example is nandun na rin po sa inyong pamphlet. Alright? So for the word problem, Phobos orbits Mars with an average distance of about 9,380 kilometers from the center of the planet and a rotational period of about 7 hours and 39 minutes. Use this information to estimate the mass of Mars. So, as you can observe on the given word problem, so we have here the given distance. And that distance or yung average distance, which is the 9,380 kilometers from the center of the planet, so yun yung ilalagay yung value for A. Okay? Kasi siya yung ating radius of orbit. Okay? So, in here, the orbital radius is 9,380 kilometers, or it is expressed in scientific notation as 9.38 times 10 raised to 6. Why? Kasi we need to cancel out the units, which is meter, on the gravitational constant natin. Okay? So, kung gagawin natin siya sa calculator, paano po maipapakita yung pagpapalit ng scientific notation? So, we have here the calculator. Okay? So, paano po natin maiko-convert yung given value natin in kilometers into meters? So, tandaan po ninyo, in 1 kilometer, there is 1,000 meters. Okay? Yun po yung sa conversion natin. So, tandaan po, 1 kilometer or 1 km is equal to 1,000 m or 1,000 meters. So, in conversion, ang gagawin po ninyo, 9,380, okay, 9,380 times 1,000. Okay? So, the answer is 9,380,000. So, kung kaya siya nagkaroon ng positive 6 na exponent, or kung bakit natin nilagyan ng times 10 raised to 6, is because i-convert natin siya into scientific notation. So, in scientific notation, magmo-move tayo dito. So, just imagine that there is a point here. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin, move tayo dito kasi ang kailangan natin is hindi mag-exceed sa 10 yung value dun sa ating magiging whole number. Okay? So, bawal yung 10.1 something. Okay? So, ganito po. Bawal tayong mag-exceed sa 10. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, just imagine that there is a point here. So, count kayo para mapapunta dun sa dulong ito. So, ang gagawin natin is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So, ilan yung in-adjust natin? Okay, so 'di ba? 6. That's why 6 yung ating value as the exponent. So, when we are moving to the left, all right? So, we have a positive value of exponent. But if we're going to move to the right, so we will be having a negative exponent. So, always remember that. So, that's why 9,380,000 from the conversion of kilometer into meter will also be equal to 9.38 times 10 raised to 6 meters. Alright? I just have a clarification. So, the P here, pakipalitan po siya ng T. Okay? Sorry, this is just a typographical error. Okay? So, yung P po diyan ay pakipalitan ng T. Bakit? Kasi si T is our orbital period. Okay? Or ibig sabihin siya yung time natin. Okay? And the given rotational period of Phobos is about 7 hours and 39 minutes. So, ang gagawin natin dyan is i-convert natin into seconds yung ating given rotational period. So, 7 hours and 39 minutes, it is equal to 7.65 hours, or it is equal to 27,540 seconds. And we have the given constant value of the universal gravitational constant, which is 6.67 times 10 raised to negative 11 Newton m squared over kilogram squared. So, for the solution, we have, or we are going to use this formula. Okay, since we are looking for the mass. All right? So, we have m is equal to 4 pi squared a cubed over gt squared. Alright, so for the solution, so ang gagawin lamang po natin is get the product of all the values in the numerator and then the values in the denominator. So since we have the given value which is yung 4, so multiply natin yung value nung pi. Okay? So ano ba yung ating equivalent ng pi? So we have 3.1416 but we only use 3.14 there. And we're going to get the square of that value of a pi. Okay? So, 3.14 squared. So, don't forget to include the square here. And times, so yung given orbital distance natin, ayan. So, we have 9.38 times 10 raised to 6 meters. And then, i-cube natin siya. Okay? So, divided by the product of the universal gravitational constant, which is 6.67 times 10 raised to negative 11 Newton m squared over kilogram squared, times the time or the satellite orbital period, which is 27,540 seconds squared. So, in here, we have 27,540 seconds, and you also need to get its square. Okay? So, in here, once we get the square of the pi, which is 9.86, and then the cube of 9.38 times 10 raised to 6, which is 8.25 times 10 raised to 20. So, maybe you are confused on how are we going to get that. So, by using your calculator, okay, so we have here the calculator, and I'm going to teach you on how to compute it, okay, if it has an exponent. So, diba we have here the given average distance, which is 9.38. Ayan, so 9.38 times 10 raised to 6. So, ang gagawin po ninyo if you are using a scientific calculator, yung times 10, okay, instead of typing that, okay, ang gagawin nyo lang is pipinutin nyo lang tong exp. Ibig sabihin nito is exponent. exp. And kung mapapansin ninyo, yun ang lalabas sa calculator. So, 9.38e. And then, ano ba yung exponent natin? Diba, 6. Kaya, ang gagawin ninyo is type nyo yung 6. Okay? So, yan siya. So, kapag ka-inequals nyo siya, ano yung magiging value niya? Ayan. So, we have 9,380,000 pa rin. Okay? So, katulad lang nung kanina. So, pinakita ko lamang siya. So, ang gagawin ninyo, isahanapin po ninyo yung kanyang cube. Or, i-multiply natin siya sa kanyang sarili ng 3 beses. But, if you are using scientific calculator, you may use this 1. Okay? Yung x cube dyan. So, ibig sabihin that answer, okay? Answer, tapos may 3. Ibig sabihin, i-cube natin siya. So, equal sign, we have 8.25, 29, 36, 72 times 10 raised to 20 na answer. Okay? So, ang gagawin ninyo after yung makuha yung sagot is 2 decimal places lamang. After, or 2 values lamang after the decimal point ang kukuhanin ninyo. Ibig sabihin sa hundredths lang tayo. Okay? So, you're going to round off and get the value in 2 decimal places after the point. Okay? So, we have 8 and 25 hundredths or 8.25 times 10 raised to 20. Okay? So, if ang gagawin naman po ninyo is kumbaga diretso na siya. So, ang gagawin ninyo halimbawa is yung 9.38 times 10 raised to 6 pa rin, cube. Okay? So, pwede naman diretso na. Just put a parenthesis and then 9.38 exp 6 and then close parenthesis. Ayan. And then, kiklik lang ulit natin to. Yan, cube. So, equal sign. So, the same answer lamang din naman po. Okay? So, paano naman po kapag cellphone ang gamit ninyo? So, ganito naman po ang gagawin ninyo once na ang gamit naman ninyo is cellphone. But, kung nahihirapan naman, pwede naman kayong mag-chat sa akin at magtanong kung paano ba talaga ang gagawin. Okay? Kasi may ibang cellphone na iba yung functions kumbaga sa mga exponent niya. Okay? Yan. So, sa cellphone na to, ganito yung magiging functions niya. Ayan, kung makikita nyo. And, pakita natin kung paano magiging 8.25 times 10 raised to 20 yung answer natin. Okay? So, we're just going to click the open parenthesis and then the value 9.38. Alright. So, in here, we're going to click the multiplication 10. Alright. So, we have 9.38 times 10. Okay? So, paano po yung kanyang exponent? So, ang gagawin ninyo ay itong x and then yung may exponent na y. Okay? So, ayan po. Ayan ang i-click ninyo. And then, 6 yung value ng exponent natin. And then, close parenthesis. And then, since we're going for the cube of this given value, so ang gagawin naman natin is pwede nyo nang i-direct na x cube siya. Okay? Instead of typing x raised to y and then tsaka nyo pipindutin yung 3. So, since meron naman tayong shortcut which is x cube na mismo, so pwede natin siyang i-click directly. So, yan yung magiging result niya. And then, kapag in-equal sign natin siya, so, ang magiging sagot natin is equal lang din dun sa nasa calculator natin. Nagkakaunawaan po. But still, if you have clarification regarding on how to use cellphone in computing these values, so pwede naman kayong magtanong sa akin. Okay? Going back to the discussion, so we have the value, gravitational constant, which is 6.67 times 10 raised to negative 11 Newton m squared over kilogram squared. And then, yun nga yung value natin ng orbital period, which is 27,540 seconds. And then, hahanapin nyo lang din yung square niya. Kaya, ang naging sagot is 7.58 times 10 raised to 8s squared. Okay? So, wag niyo pong kakalimutan na i-include yung ating units kasi mahalaga yan in terms of cancellation of units. Okay? So, dun sa taas, we have m cube. And dun sa baba, since we got the square, so we have s squared. And then, in here, we can cancel out the m cube here. Okay? And then, itong m squared dito, at saka yung isa pang m dun sa ating Newton. Okay, kasi in 1 Newton, we have the equivalent of 1 kilogram times meter over second squared. So, it is just like this. Okay? So, 1 Newton is equal to 1 kilogram times meter over second squared. Okay? So, yan po. Kung kaya nag-cancelled out tayo ng units, yung m cube dun sa taas is maka-cancelled out natin kasi we have here the m squared and then the other meter is in the Newton. Okay? And then dun sa kilograms, maka-cancelled out natin yung isa dito. Okay? Kasi since we have kilogram squared and then dun sa numerator, dun sa ating or dun sa value ng Newton natin, ayan, so, dun sa unit niya, meron tayong kilogram dyan. So, ibig sabihin, may matitira pang isang kilogram. And then, dito, cancelled out din itong s squared na to because dun sa s squared nung kay Newton. Ayan. So, ibig sabihin, ang matitira lamang na value natin dito is si kilogram. Okay? Kilogram lamang siya. So, next is magmumultiply na tayo sa lahat ng nasa numerator and then sa lahat ng nasa denominator. So, if you are using cellphone, so ganito lamang po yan. So, to get the value or the product in the numerator, so we have 4 times 9.86 times. So, we have 8.25 times 10 raised to 20. So the answer is 3.2538, and then our exponent will be 22. So we have 3.25 times 10 raised to 22. So if you're going to use calculator naman po, so the same process lang din naman tayo. So we have 4 times 9.86 times 8.25, and then yung exponent natin, which is 20. So once we click equal sign, so we have the same answer. So we have 3.2538 times 10 raised to 22. So ang kukuhanan lang natin is 2 decimal places, or 2 values after the decimal point. So we have 3.25 times 10 raised to 22. Okay? And then, paano naman po kapag sa denominator na yung kukuhanin natin? So, we have the given universal gravitational constant, which is 6.67 times 10 raised to negative 11, and then close parenthesis. And then open parenthesis again, we have the value of orbital period. We have 7.58 times 10 raised to 8. Okay, and then close parenthesis. So, we have, alright, so we have 0.0505586. Okay, so paano naman po natin siya magagawang exponential form? Okay, or scientific notation form. Okay, so ang gagawin lang natin is magmo-move tayo ng dalawang values, okay, to the right, okay, starting from the decimal point. So we have 1, 2, that's why we have 5.0, and then round off lang natin yung kasunod since we are just going to get 2 values after the decimal point. So, again, nag-move tayo ng 2 places here. So, that's why 5.06. Okay? Kasi 5 yung kasunod nung 5. Okay? So, round off tayo. Again, we have 5.06. Okay? Times, ilan kaya yung ating kailangang exponent? Since dalawa yung ating i-move, okay, starting from the decimal point, ibig sabihin, 2 yung ating magiging exponent. And since, kung matatandaan ninyo, sabi ko sa inyo, once we move to the right, the exponent will be negative. Okay? That's why, dun sa ating answer dyan sa denominator, is 5.06 times 10 raised to negative 2. And, ano yung natirang unit? Kilogram. And then, for the final answer, divide lang natin siya. Okay? So, we have 3.25 times 10 raised to 22 divided by 5.06, alright, times 10 raised to negative 2. Okay? And then close parenthesis, and then equal sign. So, we get 6.4229249E23. Okay? And then, round off lang ulit tayo. So, we have 6.42 times 10 raised to 23. Okay? So, meaning to say, we have 6.42 times 10 raised to 23. So, clarification po, pakibago na lamang na nasa pamphlet natin. Ayan, so we have, dapat po is 6.42 times 10 raised to 23 kilograms. So, ito na yung ating mass nung Phobos. Okay? Phobos is a satellite of Mars. Okay? So, there you have it. So, we got the mass of Phobos, or the missing value. For the next example, we have the word problem. The mass of the sun is 2 times 10 raised to 30 kilograms, and the Earth orbits with a semi-major axis of 1.5 times 10 raised to 11 meters. What is the period of Earth's orbit in seconds and in years? So, meaning to say, we have this missing term or the missing value, which is the period of Earth's orbit. So, dalawa yung hahanapin natin. So, we have in seconds, and in order to get the value of the period of Earth's orbit in years, so we're just going to make a conversion. Okay? So, we have here the given, which are the mass, which is 2 times 10 raised to 30 kilograms. And we also have the Earth's orbit, okay, with a semi-major axis or its radius. So we have 1.5 times 10 raised to 11 meters. And then the universal gravitational constant, which is equal to 6.67 times 10 raised to negative 11 Newton meter squared over kilogram squared. And then again, we are going to compute for the time. Okay? So, this is a derived formula from the general formula natin. So, we are going to use this since it is the missing term. Okay? So, we have T is equal to the square root of 4 pi squared A cube over G times M. Alright? And then we're going to substitute the values of the given terms. Okay? So, in pi, again, we have the value of 3.14 and we need to get its square. Okay? And then, for the Earth's semi-major axis, which is 1.5 times 10 raised to 11 meter. Yan. So, we need to get its cube. And then, divided by the universal gravitational constant, 6.67 times 10 raised to negative 11 Newton meter squared over kilogram squared multiplied by 2 times 10 raised to 30 kilograms for the mass. Okay? So, I think you know how to compute or to use your cell phone in computing such exponential form. Okay? Scientific notation form. Okay? So, using your cell phone or using my cell phone, I'm gonna show you our answer. Okay? So, we have 1.5 for the radius to 1.5 times 10 raised to 11, close parenthesis, and then we're looking for its cube. So, the answer is 3.375 thousandths or 3.375 times 10 raised to 33. Okay? Since we got the value of its cube, so we can now multiply it to the given values of the other terms and then divide to the values of the given terms on the denominator. So we have 4 times 9.86 times. So we already have the value of the semi-major axis in cube. Alright, so we have 3.375 times 10 raised to 33. And the answer is 1.3311 times 10 raised to 35. Alright? So, in here, hindi po ako nag-round off dun sa ating given example. But still, pwede nyo naman siyang baguhin and gawin nyo lang siya na 1.33. Since sabi ko nga kailangan natin mag-round off. But dito, ipinakita ko siya as a whole. Okay? Kung ano man yung lumabas na sagot dun sa ating computation. So, we have 1.3311 times 10 raised to 35. And then, for the denominator, so we have the universal gravitational constant, which is 6.67 times 10 raised to negative 11 times, we have the value of the mass, which is 2 times 10 raised to 30. Okay? And then, equals 1.331 334 times 10 raised to 20. So, iyon po siya. So, we have 1.334 times 10 raised to 20 s squared. So, since time po ang ating hinahanap dito, dapat yung matitira lang natin na unit is in seconds. Alright? So, again, para natin na-cancelled out yung units dito na m cube at saka kilograms kasi we have this one. The m squared here, and then the other meter is in the Newton, and then sa kilogram naman is dito po. Okay? And then yung isa pang kilogram ay nasa Newton. So, pinakita ko sa inyo kanina yung equivalent ni Newton. So, we have kilogram times m over s squared. Okay? Kaya siya na-cancelled out. That's why ang natira lamang nating values is s squared. Okay? So, now, we are going to divide this. We need to get the quotient. So, we have 1.3311 times 10 raised to 35 divided by 1.334 times 10 raised to 20. So, we have 9.9782609 E14 or times 10 raised to 14. So, ang ginawa ko naman dyan sa computation sa inyong solution is 9.98 since nag-round off tayo. So, as you can see, we have 9.978, okay, 2609. So, round off, that's why we have 9.98. And then, times 10 raised to 14 s squared. Okay? So, ito na yung value natin na nakuha as a quotient. Pero, meron pa rin kasi tayong square root dito. That's why, this answer, you must get its square root. So, ibig sabihin, square root 9.98 times 10 or yung exp natin. Ano yung ating exponent? We have 14. Okay? So, equals, ayan po yung magiging answer niya. 3.16 times 10 raised to 7. Okay? So, just to clarify, ang ginagamit ko po talaga sa example na yan is calculator. Okay? So, we have here the final answer, which is 3.16 times 10 raised to 7. And the unit will be in seconds. That's why may S po diyan. So, yan na yung final answer natin. But still, meron pa po tayong isang hinahanap. Okay? So, in seconds, yun yung final answer natin. But still, we need to look for the period of Earth's orbit in years. Okay? So, using this final answer, 3.66 times 10 raised to 7 seconds, we need to convert it into years. We need to convert the result of our answer into year. Okay? So, that's why we have 3.16 times 10 raised to 7 seconds. And in conversion, we have 60 seconds in 1 minute. In 60 minutes, we have 1 hour. Okay? Or it is equal to 1 hour. And 24 hours is equal to 1 day. And then, 365 days is equal to 1 year. Yan po yung step by step kung paano nyo i-convert yung seconds into a year. Okay? And then next, ipinakita lang sa second computation na to yung pag-cancel natin ng same units. So, we have seconds here and then seconds. So, we have minutes, or hours, and then day, and then days. Okay? So, we need to multiply this value to all the numerators. And then, divided by kung ano man yung magiging sagot natin in the denominator. So, dito, ipinakita siya ulit in exponential form. Okay? So, anong nangyari? So, we have 3.16 times 10 raised to 7 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is equal to 3.16 times 10 raised to 7. Okay? Bakit siya may year? Kasi yun na lang po yung natira nating unit nung nag-cancelled out tayo ng same units over. Okay, so kuhanin natin ngayon yung product ng lahat ng nasa denominator. So we have 60, ayan, for 60 seconds, times 60 for the minutes, times 24 for hours, and then times 365 for the days. Okay? So, the answer is 3.15 times 10 raised to 7. Alright? Kaya yun po yung nakalagay diyan na sagot. And then, get the quotient. So, we have the value on the numerator, which is 3.16 times 10 raised to 7 divided by 3.15 times 10 raised to 7. Okay? It is equal to 1.003174602. Okay? Ibig sabihin, dara-diretso na, wala na tayong exponent. Okay? Yan. So, ang mangyayari dun sa final answer natin is 1.003 year. Okay? But supposed to be, it should be into decimal places lamang after the point. So, in a whole number naman po, so 1 year pa rin yung kalalabasan natin. Okay? So, ang final answer natin for the given values, so in seconds, we have 3.16 times 10 raised to 7 seconds. So, in year, we have 1 year. Okay? So, I hope that you get it. And for the last example, we need to get the semi-major axis. Okay? Or the orbital radius. So, we have the sample word problem. Saturn has a mass of 15.7 times 10 raised to 26 kilograms and its moon, Titan, has an orbital period of 15.945 days. What is the semi-major axis of Titan's orbit in meters? We have here the given values for the mass, which is 15.7 times 10 raised to 26 kilograms. And then the orbital period of the Saturn's moon, which is Titan, which is equal to 15.945 days. Alright? So, it is equal to 1.38 times 10 raised to 6 seconds. Bakit? Kasi nag-convert tayo from days to seconds. Kaya ito yung gagamitin nating value niya. Okay? Kasi kailangan natin makapag-cancelled out ng units. And then, the same lang po dun sa universal gravitational constant natin, which is 6.67 times 10 raised to negative 11 Newton meter squared over kilogram squared. And then, the missing term is the orbital radius or the semi-major axis. So, the formula to be used is A is equal to the cube root of T squared times G times M over 4 pi squared. And then, we're just going to substitute the given values for the terms. Ayan. And then, we need to get the square of the orbital period. And then, substitute lang din yun sa gravitational constant. And then, sa mass natin. And then, divided by 4 pi squared. Or yung pi natin is equal to 3.14. And then, you need to get its square. So, the square of the orbital period is equal to 1.90 times 10 raised to 12 s squared. And for the pi squared, so we have 9.86. And then, multiply all the numerators and then the value in the denominator, multiply then, and then divide. Okay? So, again, use your cell phone or scientific calculator to get the product. Okay? So, we have 1.90 times 10 raised to 12 times 6.67 times 10 raised to negative 11 times the given value for the mass, which is 15.7 times 10 raised to 26. So the answer is 1.989661 times 10 raised to 29. So into decimal places, so we have 1.99. So that's why we have 1.99 times 10 raised to 29 meter cube. Okay? Paano po siya naging m cube? Kasi nag-cancel out tayo dito ng units. Ayan. So, di ba yung sa Newton natin is may isang meter dyan. So, i-multiply siya dun sa m squared natin. Kaya nagka-m cube tayo dito. And then, canceled out yung s squared and then yung s squared dun sa Newton natin. And then, yung kilogram, since kilogram squared ito, yung isang kilogram is i-cancel out natin dun sa loob na nasa Newton and then itong isang ito. Okay? Kaya, ang natira lamang nating unit is m cube. Ulitin ko, yung m cube is nanggaling dun sa Newton natin which is i-multiply dun sa m squared natin kaya nagkaroon tayo ng m cube. And then, i-multiply natin yung nasa baba. So, we have 4 times 9.86. So, we have 39.44. And if you're going to change this in exponential form or in scientific notation form, so you're just going to move the decimal point. Okay? So, since bawal tayo mag-exceed sa 10, ayan, so kailangan natin mag-move lang ng isa dyan. So, we have 1. Okay? So, yung 1 na move na yun yung magiging exponent natin. So, we have 3.944 supposed to be. Okay? But still, we're going to get 2 decimal places lang. Kaya, ang mangyayari dyan is 3.94 times 10 raised to 1. So, we have a positive exponent since we move the decimal point from here to the left. Okay? Kaya siya positive 1. Next is we need to divide this. So, we have 1.99 times 10 or yung EXP raised to 29 divided by 3.94 times 10 or EXP raised to 1. So, the answer is 5.050761421 times 10 raised to 27. And we need to round it off into 2 decimal places. That's why 5.05 times 10 raised to 27 m cube ang sagot natin. And after you get this result or this answer, you need to get its cube root. And then you will find the final answer. So, if you're going to use calculator, you need to click Shift X3. Alright? And then, magfo-form na siya into cube root. Alright? And then, click lang natin or i-type lang natin yung mismong value natin. So, we have 5.05 times 10 raised to 27. So, ang magiging sagot natin is, ayan, naka-whole number siya. So, it is 1,715,656,972. And in order to change this in scientific notation form or an exponential form, you may times 10, we need to click mode until you reach the psi. Alright? And then, click 2. Ayan, so malabas yan. So, since we need to get 2 decimal values, i-click natin yung 3. Okay? Ayan na po yung magiging final answer natin. 1.72 times 10 raised to 9. And it is equal to the final answer given in your pamphlet. So, we have yung cube root ng 5.05 times 10 raised to 27 m cube. So, we got 1.72 times 10 raised to 9 meters. So, that is the final answer. So that would be all for today, and if you have clarifications, don't forget to chat or message me directly through my messenger account. Alright? So, yan na lang po sa ngayon, and yung mga example na ibinigay ko naman is present din sa inyong pamphlet. That would be all for today. Goodbye everyone, and thank you for listening.